I believe there is a very large gap, or it's a huge jump to go from traditional HIIT circuit group training right now to a CrossFit gym. I just think there's so many layers in between there, and we're just trying to fill one of those layers. I do feel like more people would say, oh, it's a CrossFit gym, I don't want to try it, versus it's a CrossFit gym, I really want to try it. And I think that stems from whatever the general preconceived notions are about a CrossFit gym. Landlords at least on a residential situation in New Jersey, don't have the power at all.
Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I'm your host, John Franklin, joined with my co-host, Mateo Lopez, coming at you from his laundry room. And with us today, a very special guest, someone who is near and dear to my heart. It is Tim Carroll of 908 Athletics and a new secret venture that we'll be talking about on this show. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm doing very well. Thanks. How are you guys doing?
All right. We're surviving. I think that's usually like that's peak state for me is survival. What about you, Mateo?
I'm great.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it when the boys are winning.
Yeah.
So Tim, you're out of suburban New Jersey. You started in Berkeley Heights, right?
Correct.
So you're like literally across the street from Vince Gabriel's gym, who we had on the show before, right? Like when he mentions the CrossFit gym in town on our show, he's talking about you, right?
Correct. Yep.
And you guys have crushed it from like a very long period of time. For context, Tim has two CrossFit gyms, but his original one is in Berkeley Heights, which is across the street from fitness industry legend as well, Vince Gabriel. Like, what's the deal at Berkeley Heights? Are there just like 40-something rich moms everywhere so everyone can have a super successful gym?
No, I mean, look, Berkeley Heights it's not a big town. It's about 15,000 people. So in terms of suburban towns around here, it's not that densely populated. Really, I stumbled upon Berkeley Heights because I was from this county, from Union County. And so I got my start at CrossFit Hoboken, and then I was looking to open up a CrossFit gym around where I grew up, which was Westfield. And at the time, just couldn't find the right kind of space. As you guys know, like typically affluent, well-to-do towns don't really have a lot of industrial space for rent. And I happened to stumble upon this girl, Becky, who was running like a gymnastics and cheer facility, and she was actually looking to downsize a bit. And I was able to sublease from her for our initial space. So we subleased 1,700 square feet. Now, Gabriel had already been there, obviously crushing it. And, there's a Lifetime Fitness in Berkeley Heights as well. And most recently they did a brand new YMCA. So for such a small town, it's got a lot of competition for us, for sure.
I mean, competition's a good thing. If Lifetime's opening up shop there, there's some disposable income. They just opened up one around us in a great spot, and I think they're charging like $300 a month, and that's like the cheapest membership you can buy, and they're like sold out. So you started CrossFit Hoboken? I didn't know that. Or actually, no, I think I did. Were you an owner at some point of CrossFit Hoboken?
No, I was friends with, I became friendly with Craig Parcells and Eddie San Giacomo, who were the original owners of it. And it was something that prior to finding that, I was living in the city, in New York City, and I dropped into the Black Box once. And then I was like just doing makeshift CrossFit out of a New York sports club on the Upper West Side, which was nearly impossible because they're built vertically. So it's like carrying dumbbells up and down stairs didn't work well. But then I moved back out to Hoboken, and at that point, CrossFit Hoboken was open. So that's where I initially started taking classes. And obviously, that's where I kind of fell in love with the methodology.
For the listeners who are unfamiliar, they may not know that we owned two gyms in Hoboken that were direct competitors to CrossFit Hoboken. So we are very familiar with CrossFit Hoboken and the 30 to 40 people who have owned it throughout the years. And just for another little piece of context here, one of our partners in one of our gyms, Ashkan Amir Soleimani, actually learned CrossFit at Tim's gym. So I've heard of the lure of Tim Carroll, the guy who does CrossFit right, since I started in 2012, 2013. So what year did you affiliate? Just FYI for 908, because it was pretty early, right?
2009.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been around the block for a minute.
Can you give me the actual timeline? Because I think I heard somewhere else you were also a partner at Jersey City. So what is the timeline of all the gyms that you started, were part of, and now have now?
I started CrossFit, not as an owner or anything like that, as a member at CrossFit Hoboken in 2006. So I was a member there for about 2 years and became really close with Craig and Eddie and helped them when they upsized and grew. And so put down mats and all that stuff. And I was like, I love this stuff. I want to coach. I want to shadow. At the time I was working in the city. And so I was like, all right, I love this thing. I go there every day. I'm going to get certified. I'm going to help however I can. And then I just got really miserable with my job in the city and quit in February of 2009. Opened up what was CrossFit 908 in October of 2009. And then 3 years later with Eddie San Giacomo, who was the original owner of CrossFit Hoboken, and another guy, Mike Gallant, who I was good friends with, the three of us opened up CrossFit Jersey City in 2012, November of 2012. And then all three of us sold out of it in 2014 to a guy named Russell Francis, who you guys know well.
Sure do.
We do.
And then from there, took the money from that and was looking to open up another gym. And it took another 4 years to kind of find what we called CrossFit 908 Central in Westfield, which is now 908 Athletics Westfield. And that was April of 2018.
Which is another upper crust, Jersey suburb, commuter town, right? For
sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm pretty sure I got some cousins in Westfield. They're driving the $80,000 SUV to the private school type situation. So that seems to be your bread and butter market.
I'd say it's a smart business decision if you've got a premium product and you're looking to get some clients.
Speaking of smart business decisions, how was the decision of quitting your fancy job in New York City and throwing it all away to open up a CrossFit gym in 2009?
Well, it's funny that you say that because on my way out, I worked at Morgan Stanley for 4 years as a bond trader, and it was everything I thought I wanted to do out of college. And it just turned out to be like I was chasing the wrong dream. But on the day that I was leaving, there was a guy that maybe a couple of years older than me at the time. So he was like 29. And he was like, you're either the smartest guy in the room or the dumbest guy in the room. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be one of those two for sure. Right. And my mindset at the time was like, hey, I'm going to leave this job that I got great experience at. I'm going to try to open up my own gym. And if it doesn't work, I'll be 28, 29, and I'll go do the whole, go get my MBA and then try again in the finance world and hopefully things work out. And so, the first couple of years owning a CrossFit gym in 2009 in the suburbs of New Jersey was it was not the easiest thing. We opened up with 11 clients who were friends and family. And it was definitely slow going for the first couple of years. I think those that were around at that time saw that pop in 2013, 2014, where CrossFit just kind of seemingly exploded. And we got, people were coming in through Groupon and all those kinds of things. And you're like, oh man, this is great. The leads are just flowing in. And so, to make a long story short is I think it was the right decision. I think I really enjoy my life a lot now. And I think had I stayed in that role, if I were not laid off, I'd probably be, again, still kind of chasing the wrong dream and kind of miserable.
And I've talked to you before, so I kind of have an insight into how you're doing. And the answer is way better than the average CrossFit gym owner. I think your numbers, if they're what they were whenever the last time we spoke is perfect. You're doing it right. Are you open to sharing kind of top line and a rough estimate of bottom line to give some insight to the listener?
Sure. So both gyms are doing relatively the same in terms of top line revenue, which is right around kind of 500,000, give or take. So our best year ever maybe was 550 at Berkeley Heights. We've actually fallen off of that and are going to be we were below 500 last year. Post-COVID world for us up there has been super challenging. Our Westfield gym being it's only 6 years old, but it's still kind of continued to grow, and we've surpassed pre-COVID numbers, which is good. And we do a little bit more personal training down there as well. So that I think fell around like 525 this year. Bottom line numbers, I wish that they were sexier, but I think, given not only labor costs, but just high rent costs where we are in New Jersey, we fall in somewhere, if you added in net owner benefit back into it, you're probably in the 30%-ish range for each.
I mean, that's
put you at like
phenomenal. That's not
put you at like 150 a gym.
Yeah, that's spot on.
It's the crazy thing about that though is, it's my wife and myself both. That's our full-time thing. You know what I mean? And so being like a family in New Jersey, it's wild to think that you got to make like 250 to 300 grand a year just to kind of live a very average life. We have an average home. We drive very average cars, and it's like, we live a great life. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. It's just, it's hard. That's not an extravagant lifestyle in New Jersey. Whereas other parts of the country, that might afford you a lot more. But yeah, I think, if it based on Two Brains numbers, yeah, we're hitting the mark for sure.
Which skew CrossFit. So I'm sure there are other people, or I know there are other people we speak to who can do those type of numbers in a single location, but like to run
Definitely
2 CrossFit gyms for that amount of time as well, and have them be consistently in that 30% profit range, $1 million top line for the system. Like, I would say that's rare. Like, do you know of many other people doing those kind of numbers in CrossFit specific?
Well, I'm sure Russell is at JC Fit, but again, they're in a much more, urban, more populous area. Of the gyms around here, I'm sure there's a few that are doing it. The crazy thing is I feel like we got to do better, right? I mean, that's why I signed up with Two Brain, and I'm like, there's got to be a way for us, especially when I see some of the guys that are doing like the small group stuff, and they're, pulling in at a single location, pulling in like more like 700. I'm like, there's got to be a way for us to figure that out. You want to rely on your tenure and how long you've been around. Like, okay, we're doing the things we should be doing. Why are we not getting more leads in? Like, retention's good, but we're just like kind of dragging ass on some of the other things.
And that's what we're trying to do with the show. We're trying to give affiliate owners the path to that $1 million top line per location, because there's plenty of space, there's plenty of opportunity, just some small.
Yeah, hell, if we could do it per location, that would be fantastic.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because kind of to what John was saying, it's for an affiliate, it's really impressive. And I guess you've been around for more than 14, 15 years, something crazy like that. So what do you think has been some of the key things that have, allowed you to survive and sustain the growth to another location, now maybe in another concept? What do you think's been the key?
It's always the $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
I think
literally,
I think both for us, what's worked really well, and not all affiliate owners want to be this way, but the social aspect for us really worked well, especially in the beginning. Both, my wife and I were 26 when we opened it, no kids. And so we spent a lot of time with our clients, both in the gym and out of the gym. We did a lot of nights out. We did barbecues, trips, stuff like that. And I thought that helped to kind of build that friendship bond that builds accountability ultimately in the gym. And so what we've seen through our gym is we've seen, not only people become friends and start to hang out with each other outside the gym, but we've seen people meet, get married, have babies. And I think that familial feel helped us grow. I thought people felt very validated, included when they came to the gym. So I think that the social aspect for us was one of those keys.
How much of it is just like starting really early? So we've been actively looking to speak with affiliate owners doing over $1 million in top line. We've hunted down a few, but every time we have a conversation like this, they tend to have started either really early like you did or in the golden era when we did, which was at like 2012 to 2015 crop, and rode that wave up. Like I haven't talked to anybody who started, 2018, 2019, and has been consistently running that system, so that's something I think about a lot. Like, do you think if you were starting over today, you could rebuild this using the CrossFit name and the same methodology, that like the same system you're using now?
That's a great question, because I think about 2009 as being extremely long ago, but I don't necessarily view 2018 as being significantly different than today. Having said that, I don't think it would be any easier. I think it'd be more challenging. But when I view like some of the stuff around our area, there's a couple of towns where I'm like, had thought about potentially opening up there. I'd like to say with confidence that I could build another 908 Athletics Westfield in 5 years, but I don't know. I mean, clearly the market's more saturated. We as CrossFit gym owners have more competition than ever. I think back at 2009, Orange Theory wasn't around, right? No F45, no Barry's Boot Camp, no Alpha Fit Club. All of these people who are now around and who all have a way, way lower barrier to entry. And I think that's another challenge that we face now as CrossFit gym owners who potentially want to onboard people through private training or through fundamentals, or we want to have them do a free consultation before they come in. I think that puts up a little bit of a blockade, especially when all of your competitors around you are offering free classes or free weeks. Not that I think that that's a better way to onboard people, but what I'm saying is if there's 8 gyms around you and 7 offer a free week trial, there's a high likelihood that someone's going to like one of those gyms. You know what I mean? Out of 7, they're going to find one they like and stick with it before they have to call you and book a consultation and book an hour to come in on a one-on-one and feel like they're going to get sold on something they don't want to buy.
Especially in a town like yours where there are a lot of good gyms. Like we know Berkeley Heights, you have some options out there. So it is competitive. The reason I brought up, could you do it again today in the CrossFit space, is you have recently opened up a 3rd gym, and you've recently become a commercial landlord. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So let's see. We closed on a building in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, which is pretty much smack dab in between both of our CrossFit affiliates. And the name of the gym is Indoor Training Co. And it was a idea that I had back in 2019, but got put on the back burner once COVID hit. And so my wife and I, Erin and I, have been looking for a building to buy to house one of our CrossFit gyms, because we've just been leasing the whole time. And nothing was coming up. And then this building came on the market and it seemingly could work, but Erin was nervous that we were a little too far away from our Westwood location, that we would just have a significant drop off in membership. Like, as you guys know, once you go a certain distance away, you kind of just start losing people. And so she was like, why don't you try your Endure concept? And I was a little hesitant, but she supported me, and I was like, all right, if she's supporting me, then I'm going to go for it. The gym concept, and we can talk about the building, but the gym concept in my mind, and hopefully you guys will understand what I mean by this, is trying to fill the void between what we do at a good CrossFit affiliate, what we offer in terms of the training methodology, the exercise selection, stuff like that, and say what Orange Theory offers. And what I mean by that is we've kind of stripped away the barbell. We've stripped away high skill gymnastics movements. There's no climbing ropes. There's no muscle ups. But what we're trying to maintain is still a high coaching level, and then strength training through kettlebells and dumbbells. So still having structured strength like you might have at your CrossFit affiliate, an EMOM style or something like that. It's just not done with a barbell right now. And so around us, if you think about like Orange Theory, Alpha Fit Club, all of your strength training movements typically are done during the conditioning. It's always like in the circuit. It's always high heart rate. There's never that like dedicated 30-minute strength block where people are moving slower and really focusing on what they're doing and attempting to truly build strength. And so that's our goal with Endure Training Co.
And how are you pricing, packaging the Endure thing?
So we are priced higher than both of our other CrossFit gyms currently. We're at $219 a month, and we just have a monthly. There's no like 12 times a month right now. It's either $219 for a monthly or it's $250 for a 10 class punch card. Having said that, we did like pre-sales, normal pre-sale options. So we had like a 1 year commitment, a 6 month commitment, and a 3 month commitment, just sold them in different tiers. And we had limited amounts for both or for all three.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. It said you sold them out, the pre-sales. What was the marketing strategy for launching the new gym?
So it's a great call. We used a lot of our network, meaning, my wife is from Scotch Plains where we opened up. I'm from the neighboring town, Westfield, and the two CrossFit affiliates are super local. And this may sound super dumb, but I was like, we've got between both gyms, we've got between 350 and 400 clients going to CrossFit gym. They all have a significant other or one friend that loves fitness, but will just never come to a CrossFit affiliate. They're like, no, you're crazy. But they all know someone that wants to work out. And so we leaned on our communities, and we did, for our CrossFit members, we gave them like a 2-week free trial. We also gave them a 20% off a punch card if they still keep their membership at the other gym. And then we started doing like a $10 for 10-day trial, and just kind of promoted through our personal social media channels, business social media channels. And, just through, like I said, my wife's very social. Just through that network, I felt like we started to gain some traction. And the $10 for 10 days it's been good because it gives people enough of a sampling of the different styles of workouts. And our general manager, EJ, she's been doing a great job converting members over. We just passed the 50 member mark like a couple days ago. And then we've got another like 17 people on our punch card. So, for being open for like 50 days, I feel like that's a really strong start for us.
Yeah, it's got like almost like a Barry's looking vibe to it, where you just got the rows of equipments, and you can station people out. It seems a lot more space efficient than a CrossFit gym. How big is the space?
So the workout area itself is about 2,400 square feet. And so we've got 5 cardio machines, 6 of each. So there's the self-propelled treads. You got the climber, ski ergs, concept 2 bike ergs, and rowers. And so they're all on the perimeter. Pull-up bars go down the center. We've got dumbbells and kettlebells from 5 up to 100 stacked up front. And then we've got adjustable benches. We do like incline bench and stuff, and chest supported rows. And then we've got boxes as well, and then med balls for slams.
And did you pilot this kind of idea at your other gyms first, or you just dreamed it up and you were like, we can make this work in the building I just bought?
There's a little bit of that dumb confidence to it for sure. But the actual workouts themselves, when we started templating out sort of our first month of programming, we ran like 3 workouts a week at our CrossFit affiliates that were our Endure style workouts for 4 weeks. So we did 12 workouts, got feedback from people. Clearly it's as you know, in your CrossFit gym, on any given day, half your members will love the workout and half are going to hate it. Right. So it was good to get the feedback. I think some people were like, oh, I kind of like that style of workout, because the conditioning that we're doing is it's more structured towards like energy systems training. So we have 2 days a week that are more aerobic capacity style days. So your hardcore CrossFitters don't necessarily love it, but one of the underlying tenets of our programming is longevity. So we're trying to, lean in on the science a little bit and be like, hey, this stuff's good for you. And I honestly, I was like, people want to get out of their houses again and do group fitness. And I believe there is a very large gap, or it's a huge jump to go from traditional HIIT circuit group training right now to a CrossFit gym. I just think there's so many layers in between there, and we're just trying to fill one of those layers. And to be honest with you, you guys know, I'm sure you know him, Jake Fields.
Sure do.
Right. So he's got Club Ignite, right? So I had a talk with him because I was like, oh, this sounds like he's kind of doing what I'm doing. He kind of veered and went more down like the weight loss route, and he's crushing it with that group. And I think we're trying to veer more towards people who want to be serious about training and progression, But they don't want to just do a monotonous 40-minute circuit all the time. And they also don't want to lift a barbell. And so I was just had this dumb confidence that, hey, there's enough people around here that we can fill this tiny gym with enough people to make it work.
I got an alternative idea. Hear me out on this one.
Go ahead.
I think you and James Pratt, who's also a fellow Jersey gym owner, should just do an arms specific gym. You know, like I don't know what you're messing around with these Versa climbers and these treadmills when you're housing those pythons there. Obviously, the stress of starting the gym is not affecting buys and tries day. What is happening?
That's just old school bodybuilding, man. That's from ages 15 to 25, just thinking that the only thing I needed to do was curls and bench press, you know?
Yeah, sign me up. I don't know what suburban Jersey gym owners are doing. Whatever you guys are doing, you're not offering it in your gyms because you all have like 30-inch arms. I don't know what's going on there. So tell me about the actual process of buying the building. What did it cost? Did you go through the SBA? Like, a lot of gym owners, we profile that as like the best wealth building strategy, especially if you don't want to start 100 locations. So maybe talk through it with us and like just finding a place. So like I wanted more than nothing else to buy the spaces we operated out of in New Jersey. And it's like such a hard market. Like it's dry. Like I was looking for 7 years and couldn't find a single thing that, made sense for me.
I felt like I was the same as you. Prior to this, I felt like since 2016, 15, I've been looking for our Berkeley Heights location. So I'm like, oh, we can't keep just giving away, this much money all the time. And it was just impossible to find it, or it was just so extravagantly expensive that it wouldn't even make sense, We found this building. A client of mine, also a friend of mine, had been kind of casually looking for us. And the crazy thing was I went to Miami for my 40th birthday with a bunch of friends. And I landed in Newark Airport and opened up my phone. And the first text message I get is from him. It says, I think I found your next building. And I was like, this is a good birthday present right here. And so we saw the building and I loved it immediately. Previously, it had been a more like small group training, sports specific. The guy that owned it, Ben Shear, is kind of like a legend golf trainer. And he's moving down to Florida to train all of his pros.
Classic.
Yeah, right. And so saw the building, really liked it. Kind of struck out with my local bank on them being interested or just, the terms of the deal. I was like, nah, that's not great. And so they suggested that I reach out to essentially like a mortgage broker, this guy, David from P&A Financial, who actually operates out of Florida. And he just essentially took all my info. I sent him everything that he needed to know. And then he turns around and looks at his, relationship of 100 banks. And he was kind of like, these banks will have an appetite for this, these won't. And it was just after, what was it? Silicon Valley Bank went under, like when that
Great
stuff started
timing.
happening on the West. Yes. Perfect timing. And so what they all started to say is like, oh no, we're not interested in like investment only. And I was like, no, it's going to be owner occupied. And, so we went through that process, and I ended up getting an SBA 7A loan through TD Bank, and the building purchase was $1.355 million. And I had to put down 15%, and we got a 25-year fixed, and it landed at like 7.66. Not ideal, but not the worst commercial loan rate. And the fact that it's a 25-year fixed and never adjusts is pretty nice. The other nice thing too is it only has a 3-year prepayment penalty window. So 5% in the first year, 3% in the third, 1% in the third, 3% in the second, 1% in the third. And then you could, if someone wanted to refi to you at that point and rates were lower, you could do it. And so it all seemed like, relatively manageable. When I was working out the numbers, the mortgage comes in right around like $8,600. Property taxes are another essentially $2 a month. So we're at like $10,600. Then you add on conservatively, your utilities were probably at like $12,000 a month just to keep the lights on. But the interesting thing about the building is there's 2 residential units, a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom. The 2-bedroom's occupied. It's way under market, but it's occupied. The 1-bedroom, they moved out. So we redid it and we just listed it now. We've got a separate entrance for a physical therapist. So they've got 2 rooms, a bathroom, and a front office space. So we're subleasing to them. We have a second floor above our gym space, which is another 3,000 square feet. And that is subleased out to a baseball and softball hitting and pitching group. And then I also have a personal trainer who was from the old gym before they left. He was like, hey, I still want to train my guys here. And I was like, absolutely. So when it's all said and done, there's, outside of Endure, there's another 5 tenants kind of contributing to the mortgage. So I think once we get the 1 bedroom subleased, we'll be in that helps quite a bit.
So when the apartments hit market rate, like what are you looking at in terms of rent?
All across the board?
Yeah.
So we're probably looking at like, let's see, 2, 42, 62, 8, like 11 in rent, 11,000 a month in rent.
So you're saying your operating costs for Endure would be like $1,000?
If worst case scenario, we have to. I mean, obviously,
worst case,
you have your labor, and all that stuff. But yeah, we've got right now the PT, the physical therapist, they're paying $2,000 a month. The baseball group is paying $4,250, so that's $6,250. The 2 bedroom is only paying $950, which is outrageous. She's been here for 12 years, and we got to figure it out. So that's $7,150. I've got the 1 bedroom listed for $1,800. So that would bring us to $8,950. And then, the guy that does training on the side pays about $700 to $1,000 a month. So you're right around like $9,500 already.
I just went through a worst case scenario on an investment, and it didn't end with me getting 2,400 square feet of real estate in an expensive suburban market for $1,000 a month. So sounds pretty good. How'd you luck out? Was it just your guy? Had a knack and knew, and it was a good deal, or was it because you're a gym owner, you were able to sublet it in a creative way? Like, how'd you score this?
No, it's definitely not because I'm like a savvy, investor. Not at all. I mean, the building came on the market and it had already been under contract, and then something went awry there and it came on the market again. And I guess the first time it didn't go on the market, it didn't really go on the market because the buyer is the neighbor, but they ended up having a problem with him and the previous owner. So we saw it pretty quickly. I think we were the first or second people to actually view it. And I think given the timing of it, I knew that 2 other people that had seen the building after me were just investors. And I think, again, with the whole mortgage thing happening at that moment, maybe it just wasn't a good position for them. So I think we lucked out, man. I think that the building total is like 9,200 square feet. It's right outside of downtown Scotch Plains, New Jersey, which is a great town. I think given the dollar per square foot, we really did luck out with the price. And then the physical therapist subleases from our other location as well. And then a client of mine at our 908 Athletics Westfield location played pro baseball for a little while, and he's got some club teams, and they're typically very spread out. They got to drive pretty far to do pitching and hitting. And I showed it to him, and he was like, yeah, man, we want to do this. And so I feel like, again, the who there worked in our favor, not the what I knew,
And how much did you have to invest in like the build out for the gym? And then I don't know if you did renovations in the apartment or anything like that.
So the apartment renovations came in probably between 20 and 25,000. The building renovations, between paint, electrical, plumbing, that came in probably around like 75, so that puts us around 100. And then, equipment and all that stuff cost us another, I should know these numbers exactly, but 60 to 80. So it's about 180. And then the upfront cost for the building was like 200, and with the broker fee, it was like 280,000. Right. So we're all in pretty close to $500,000. And speaking candidly, it was not all my money. I got a personal loan for the majority of that.
So that was what I was going to ask, if you baked it in or just paid it out of pocket. And so what's next now? Are you actively looking to do more deals like this? Like, do you want to still own the CrossFit spaces? If you find another space that has a similar kind of rent roll, would you build another Endure? How are you thinking about expansion at this point?
I feel like October, November, my head was just down trying to prep for the opening of Endure. And now that we're open, it's like I still want to try to get it to a place where I feel like, even though you said, right, like operating costs are $1,000, right? I want the gym itself to be a successful venture as well. So I feel like, I'm going to have my head down until we get through at least 100 members. But in the interim, I've got two other kind of major things at play. One is our 908 Athletics Westfield gym, which has a rent of like $10,200 a month for 5,000 square feet.
Wow.
My lease is done there in just under 2 years. And it's a sublease from a Walgreens. And the rumor is that the Walgreens is negotiating an exit of their lease with the landlord. And so we're subordinate. So if they're gone even before that time frame, we could be pushed out too. And so that sucks. But if a building somehow came available to purchase, at least again, that would be owner occupied and there's a cash flow ready from there to put to work. And then the other thing is we just re-signed 5 years at our Berkeley Heights location, mainly because my landlord kind of forced us into it. I had no negotiating power. And we just hit like a 6-year low on members. And so we're going the route of hybrid AF there to kind of do an open gym model and see if we can start getting some people in on the off hours. Sort of an ancillary benefit to current members with a nominal charge, and then sort of a open gym membership only option as well, and see if we can do something there.
How are you splitting your time? Because now you are a landlord that has to manage tenants, like not just like the gym as the tenant, but like several other tenants and businesses. You have these two other gyms, the new concept. How are you splitting your time? How are you getting it all done? And if you have, obviously you have support staff, what's the structure of your like lieutenants that allows you to, make all these moves?
Yeah, I would say that I'm probably not splitting my time very well. I'm definitely trying. But at our Westfield location, this girl, Christina, she's been with us since inception, and she worked with us at our CrossFit Jersey City location. So she's got a lot of experience in the space. She's our general manager there. Her and another girl, Sam, who coached for us full time. She's now a firefighter, so she does part time with us. But we learned a lot from the first gym. So we opened up 908 Athletics Westfield. It was already like personal training, onboarding, free consultations. They know how to onboard them. They know how to convert them. Like they can do it all. Like they do a great job down there. And so I never really coached very much down there. And I did that by design. As you guys know, like when you're the icon coach, it's really hard to pull away. And I didn't want to do that with a second gym. I was already doing it with the first gym. And then at the first gym, I'm definitely there more, but we also have two coaches that have been with us each for over 12 years. And they're very familiar with the onboarding and the day-to-day there. So I feel like the staff that we have in place at both locations gives myself and my wife the opportunity to do this third location. And now at our third location, we have a girl. I don't know if you guys have ever met her. Her name's EJ Shaver, but she used to own a CrossFit affiliate. She was in Two Brain for a little while. She closed down during COVID, moved back to New Jersey. And this past year, she filled in at our Westfield gym when Sam went into the Fire Academy and Christina went out on maternity leave, and she crushed it. And then with the opening of Endure, offered her the general manager position here. And she's just been like, signed up another person. She's just crushing it on the back end here.
What was her previous gym? She looks familiar, but I don't remember.
I want to say it was Bear Mountain CrossFit, maybe.
Okay. So not in New Jersey.
No.
Got it.
No. And so, yeah, I'd say that I'm not doing the greatest job splitting my time. And like for instance, yesterday I got completely blindsided with like a little storm that we had here. Then I'm like, oh wow, I'm the landlord for this parking lot of this building now, and so
sweeping.
Well, dude,
go sweep up some of that passive income.
Last week we had like 2 inches of snow, but it started raining immediately after. And I hired a plow guy and I got a bill for $1,000 for putting down one thing of salt and running his plow through for 2 inches. And I was like, well, certainly I can't afford that. Right. And we just got hit yesterday. So I was like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And I got down here and it was like an ice skating rink. And I'm like, what am I doing? So like I now, like you said, these landlord things, like the baseball guys were causing way too much noise. We had to adjust their hours. Like both heaters are broken upstairs right now. I have the HVAC guy here. So there are going to be all of these ancillary expenses and like time sucks that definitely are precluding me from spending more time at the other gyms. But ultimately, I would love the opportunity to kind of get up on a daily basis and be like, oh, I'll go work out in Westfield. I'll go work out in Scotch Plains. I think expansion needs to be put on hold until I feel like I can solidify a new location for Westfield and get Berkeley Heights back on its feet and obviously get Endure to where we want it to be.
And the HVAC.
And figure out a reasonable plowing. Yeah.
Can you guys help me with plowing?
The plow keeps you up.
No, we moved to
night.
Florida so we would never have to plow again.
Yeah, it's called Move to Florida. That's my solution. People just don't understand. People just don't understand that landlords are people too, you know? And that it's just easy. It's just easy. Don't forget to tip your landlord because he's out there. Exactly. He's out there plowing and removing snow for you. So we were thinking about maybe just getting an iPad in the front of each of the gyms, and then when people are done with class, be like, "Hey, the iPad's going to ask you a few questions real quick." Just maybe we'll add a tip on. If it's a snowy month, don't forget to add 10-15% to your rent and make sure your landlord's taken care of. Well, I don't know if you guys. I'm sure, John, but like. Landlords at least on a residential situation in New Jersey don't have the power at all. Meaning like you have a lot of towns have maximum rental increases that you can do. Eviction can take 6 to 9 months in court. So like, I have a woman in a 2-bedroom paying $950 a month. The going rate for new 2 bedrooms in this area are like $2,500, right? So it's a massive difference, but I'm also trying to be a good human being. But then it's also like, because the previous owners never put her up at all over 12 years, I'm hosed. Because if I add 3% to $950, that's $28.50. Like that's the maximum I'm allowed to upcharge her now. Yeah. That's why what you start paying matters a lot in New Jersey. Like our apartment in Hoboken was like $1,300 a month for like a massive 1-bedroom on Washington Street, and we'd get the rent increases, and it's like $33 next year. It's like, okay, cool, this works out. Yeah, it's just fine. I mean, yeah, in some markets, renting is just better. It's better. And if you can find the right spot, and people will disagree and call me dumb for that, but it's just true. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. But enough on the hardships of being a landlord. Let's pivot to CrossFit itself. You said 908. You've been in the game since 2009. You said 908 just had its lowest month member-wise, or lowest year member-wise in 6 years. What's your current feeling about HQ and CrossFit and the direction of the brand? I'm going to plead a little ignorance to it. I don't read every email that comes out or follow along, because for so long we were doing it on our own that I'm kind of like, a day late and $1 short for me. I'm like, I don't need best practices. I don't need any of that. I don't need your help onboarding. I found Two Brain. I found Stu Brower. I found these people on my own to help me out. And so I don't know, I guess some things like the affiliate partnership network where you can get a discount doing something, that's good. Leveraging the brand power for buying power, that's good. But I don't, I do like that I think it's if you go to the affiliate, if you open up HQ, does it load the closest affiliate to you now? Or if you go to the affiliate finder map, it loads the closest affiliate to you once you open it up. And so, yeah, all those things are cool. I mean, why wasn't that a thing back in the day? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand why, they're always like, oh, survival of the fittest with the affiliates. And you're like,
but we're giving you money and we support you. Why don't you just help us back a little bit?
If we don't survive, we can't give you money. So like,
yeah, literally, it's like, if you like your affiliates, like we pay you the majority of your money, right? You're losing money on everything else that you do. Like, and so I don't know. It doesn't, and like the rate increase, I mean, they haven't raised my rate in 15 years, right? It's not make or break for me. I think it's just a little bit of like salt in the wound for people who feel left behind from HQ.
And so it sounds like you're not considering de-affiliating. It sounds like you're down to ride. Yeah,
I mean, I never de-affiliated, and at this point, that it's not enough to make me say like screw it. I do feel like though, and you guys can disagree with me for sure, but I do feel like more people would say, "Oh, it's a CrossFit gym, I don't want to try it," versus "It's a CrossFit gym, I really want to try it." And I think that stems from whatever the general preconceived notions are about a CrossFit gym. And I think what we do at 908 Athletics in terms of like social media presence is to try to minimize the intimidation factor as much as we can. We have people leave our gyms because we don't snatch and do muscle ups enough. And it's still a struggle to get people to bring their friends in, to bring their family in. It's like people are just kind of like, "Nah, I'm good. Stay at arm's distance, please."
You just got to show them. You got to flex your biceps to the people who are not happy with the programming. You're like, this is what you need right here. So interesting. So it sounds like you're just kind of, it is what it is. You're glad to see that they're doing some stuff to help, but you don't see it as an impediment to your brand, but you don't necessarily see it as something that's like pushing you forward.
Yeah. I don't see them as being the success or the failure reason for my gym. I think that falls on me, accountability, right? I'm the owner. I got to figure it out.
What's the journey been like working so closely with your spouse as kind of handling the back end ops, especially, you've been doing it this long. I've heard on other podcasts, you quit your job right as you proposed. So yeah, how's that played out? How's that worked out for you?
Yeah. So she ended up quitting her job, or her job closed down their site. She was a scientist, worked in drug discovery at a pharmaceutical company, and they closed down their site, I think in 2013. So she was like, "I'm not going to move with them." She got a job offer up in Cambridge, Mass. And at that time we'd been open for 4 years, and she was like, I'm doing some of the back end stuff already. Like, why don't I hop on board and we try to just, blow this thing out of the water? And so, she started working with me, and, I think each of us have our own, skills for the business. I was doing a lot of the coaching, and she was doing a lot of like the membership management, email, stuff like that. And then we would both do the social things. And I think a lot of people are like suspect of how we spend every waking moment of our life together. But it has its moments for sure. Like I tend to be like, have the ideas, right? And a lot of times it's kind of like pie in the sky ideas. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" So, she helps regulate some of that, and kind of keeps things very organized. So I think where I lack, she makes up for it. And where she lacks, which is she doesn't want to coach. She doesn't want to come on this podcast. She doesn't want to do, social media content filming. Like I'm happy to do that stuff. And so, I think surprisingly it's worked well. We've got 2 young kids, and it's all good.
No women want to come on this podcast. It's really unfortunate. We have to beg and plead, but that's probably also why 80% of our listenership is male. But 2024 is a new year.
I can get you some ladies.
Okay, cool. I'm excited.
Get you some ladies.
Cool. Make sure they hit the subscribe button as well.
You had a competitive CrossFit career as an athlete, and I'm curious as to how that affected the business. And because we have found that I think to be a really great athlete and then a really great gym owner, usually those two things are at odds. So I guess, what was that experience like for you?
I think that it was a benefit to the gym initially, and that's not to pat myself on the back, but I think it created that aspirational identity for some people. And when I got to go to regionals, it was a really fun thing. And like, we're 4 hours away from where regionals was. And we had, I think one year we had like 60 people come up and stay in a hotel and stay the whole weekend and party on Sunday night. And it was like, I think there was this benefit there of being on the competitive side of things, but I was also competitive when CrossFit, when you could be competitive doing it, as like a 1 to 2 time a day worker outer. Then I think when I wanted to focus more on the gym and we opened up Jersey City, it just seemed like there weren't enough kind of hours in the day to do both. And then particularly when we got pregnant with our first son, I was like, all right, we got to start prioritizing, where my time is spent. And it's not that I think I could have gone any further than I did in the competitive sphere. I don't think I could. I think that I just made the decision that if I've got an extra hour in my day, it should be spent on the business or my family. And then once the baby came, it was like extra hours should be on my family. The second kid come, it's like, all right, now we need to focus on the business to support the family. And the competitive side of thing, I mean, the field just completely went this way. And I was just like, all right, I'm happy taking a class a day, seeing my clients and going home and really working on the stuff that, Two Brain wants you to work on and all that stuff. So, I think it was a benefit in the beginning, but I would say, I don't know how people are able to do both if they're really doing both or they've got a really good supporting cast.
The answer is you don't. You just don't. It's too hard. You do one bad.
Yeah. It's that's like you said, how you splitting your time. It's not very well. I mean, I'm trying, right? And I try to see people, but like you got 8 classes a day at 3 different gyms. How can you even possibly be there?
So Tim, we appreciate you coming on, sharing numbers, training the future landlords of America. Where do people go if they want to find out more about you?
Me personally, please don't go to my Instagram. You can go to 908 Athletics on Instagram, or you can go to Endure Training Co. on Instagram, or both. Same as the website. You guys should know the 908 Athletics website. You run it.
I know. I got some questions about the Endure one we need to talk through offline. So
Classic.
we got to get to the bottom of that. But we'll sign up for that. You heard it here. Every single guest mentioned actually was a Kilo client. Russell Francis, Harry over at NYC, Tim Carroll. So like, if you want to be a 7-figure gym owner, the only step is getting Kilo. That's he missed that when he was summarizing the steps to success. But success leaves clues and commonalities, and there tends to be a very clear one here. But anyway, Tim, I appreciate it. I think people are going to get a lot of value out of it. Certainly someone who I was looking at for ideas, even though we never formally met a ton when I was operating early in the game. Glad that our paths have brought us full circle and we got to connect later on down the road. Looking forward to visiting Endure next time I find myself in Scotch Plains when we do the Gym World Worldwide New Jersey, New York road tour. Coming at you.
That would be
sometime
awesome.
In 2024,
really
whenever Teo's in the Hamptons, we'll probably do something like that because we got a lot of people asking questions about some of the gyms in New Jersey because there tends to be there's a lot of really for whatever reason that's a huge cluster of massive biceps and massive gyms. So looking forward to profiling them more. If you haven't yet, guys, be sure to subscribe, leave a hateful comment. If you know Tim's bicep routine or James Pratt's bicep routine, be sure to leave it down below so Teo and I can work on ours. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you next week.